So as you know, guys, I've been bringing you just some excellent people to speak into your lives and motivate you and encourage you. And I've been so excited for this week because I've been saving up this hero of mine, honestly, for a time when I knew that we were really with the guys who wanted to stick with this, that wanted to dig down even deeper. And I'm telling you, this guy that I'm bringing up, you know how much I love him. And you guys know what I'm talking about from what happened this week. You know how much I care about this guy. He's legitimately the most disciplined person I've ever met in my entire life. He is so focused and so determined. And you talk about someone that doesn't look their age. This guy, he just, honestly, he's a four-time Mr. Natural Universe, powerlifting champion, judo champion, movie star. This guy's done it all. But more importantly than anything else, the thing that I'm most proud of about this guy is he is now a father. And he's an excellent father to the metahuman Titan, which is my godson. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, please welcome my buddy, Mr. Mike O'Hearn.
Thanks, Clark. Hey, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. I love it. You got some guys doing cardio. We're multitasking here.
Absolutely.
We're moving and grooving. Thanks for having me on this morning, buddy. Love you.
Yeah. So, Mike, let me give you a background here so you know what's going on. You know, you were on a live one time with these guys in the group, and you even commented how impressed you were with their involvement. Like, you have groups that you run as well, but when you came into my group and you looked at these guys, you're like, damn, Clark, what are you doing to make these guys so involved? I mean, why? And really, it's nothing. These guys are committed, and they're really looking to make change. So they just came out of 6 weeks, some massive results, guys digging in. And I honestly borrowed a lot of what you've taught me over the years in increasing their cardio along the way and decreasing other things. And these guys are seeing great results. So, you know, I just want to give you the opportunity to speak into that, encourage them how to stay motivated, what you do, what they can do, some tricks of the trade, whatever you can share with them. So the floor is yours.
So as of right now, you guys just went through a hardcore 6-week kind of program, nutrition. Is that how you kind of went right now?
Yes, nutrition and training.
I love it. I love it. And then what's the next stage now?
So now we're going into another 6-week phase where guys are digging in even deeper. And the type of stuff that I'm hearing back from them is they're journaling more. And you and I talked about the importance of journaling. Matter of fact, there's one right in front of you right now. I know you've got a journal on your desk. So yeah, right there. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're slowly adding different protocols to their regimen. So in the group, I have weeks 1 through 6 that we started off with 30 minutes of cardio, then we went to 45, then we went to 30 twice a day, then 45 twice a day. So we're gradually increasing it. So right now they're steady in at, you know, they know what they're doing. They're following different diets. They're not necessarily on one that I have given them because, you know, I want to give people the freedom to do what they want to do.
Right, right. Well, the first thing is you went through 6 weeks of dieting with him, and that means that you guys are still hopeful and have a drive to continue forward, which is a huge thing because most people, after 6 weeks of dieting, it's either, okay, I should be at my goal, I should be done, this is it, I just did 6 weeks of hard training, I did everything, why aren't I there yet? And what I love is that you guys are still in the fight and understand this is going to take some time, regardless of the 6 weeks, and we're okay to go another 6 weeks. And he also set you up, just hearing about what he was talking about, how he started you off at 30 minutes, then moved up to 45, and then brought it back down to 30, but twice a day. What I love that, you know, obviously you guys understand that Clark knows what he's doing when it comes to this stuff, and he understands it, and you guys are willing to, which is great in today's society, continue to be open to learn. You're not at the stage where you're like, no. Bobby at the gym told me that's not how you do it. You just jump on 2 hours of cardio a day and just stay with it. So I love the approach that he already has done with you guys and moved forward. So at this stage, going to this next level, I think for myself, whenever I step up the level, then it comes into how well am I recovering? Am I recovering from the workouts? Am I getting my sleep? Am I prioritizing? Am I saying no to some things I would like to do, But right now in my life, this is the most important thing. This is the journey that I have to do right now. This is, I got to take opportunity to work with this gentleman and continue to get as best I possibly can. And that's the biggest, I think, for me to understand that you got a coach that's going, all right, we're taking the next level. What are you giving up to create your dream over here, this goal in health and fitness? I see that we're all ages. And what I love, the fact is you guys are here. That means that you guys are willing to say, I can still get better, regardless of what age I'm at. I can still get better. And that's probably the biggest thing for me, is to know no matter what age we're at, we can still get better. We can put in the work. We're not the norm to where most people at 30 years old think that they're done, and they're not done. The bad knees, the bad back, can we get better? Yes, we can. Can we be healthier? Yes, we can. So I love the fact that you guys are at that stage right now. For me, regardless of the cardio, regardless of the weight training, I'm a believer, and Clark is somebody that's also the same way, is that nutrition is such a big key point of this situation. There's going to be days that you are hungry and starving to where you may want to cheat. Little tricks that I come up with is I don't know if Clark's ever had my greens drink, but greens are one of those things that I recommend. Even if you don't like vegetables and you don't like greens, eat them like candy. Continuously just shove those things down when you're getting really starving, instead of going to another meal or a cheap meal. You guys understand that?
But Mike, so these guys fast every Saturday and drink greens. So today, guys are fasting and drinking greens, and they've been doing that consistently. And I've seen them get stronger and stronger. And you're big in fasting as well. You and I have talked about this, and I've gone 10 days. You've gone, I don't know how many you drive.
I didn't do 10 days, but I fast on, what is it, Monday and Thursdays? Monday and Thursdays I fast. And the days when I fast, we just went in and I was extra strong that day too, which is, it's an amazing thing how strong that mind is. But on those days, I'll do the greens drink. But I also take my branch chains, my EAAs, my leucine, and my glutamine on that day. Do you guys understand what that stuff is? Branch chain amino acids, it's just amino acids. It's what's in all kind of proteins. But I'll have that through the day, and glutamine. That way I kind of retain that muscle I'm doing, but still starving that body to where it goes to the fat to eat it. And so I still, on those days, and hopefully you guys are doing this too, when you're doing the fasting day, and I'm glad some people are already doing it, don't back off the workout. Don't back off and go, oh, no, I'm fasting, so I don't need to train. I train extra hard on those days and up the body and that level, that mental state. Clark and me talk about it. I think one of the greatest things about the fasting days, how well your mind works on those days. And so I love the tussle. I love the fight. So I love to know that I go in on those days that I'm fasting and train even heavier than I normally train and try to push myself. But during the day, Clark can talk to you guys about if you want to take glutamine or branch chains or something like that on those days, feel free to do that. That just kind of retains the muscle, and it gives me a little bit more energy if I'm really beat down. I'm at that stage where you guys are at, or maybe you're restarting. But I'm at that stage where I'm doing 2 hours of cardio now and slicing and dicing. And there's days when I'm doing that I need to find the motivation in myself on, geez, Louise, I don't want to do it today. I don't want to have to do these abs today and this cardio today. I want to just relax. I don't feel the energy. And then I have to have that passion and that motivation and that goal on the front of the mind so I continue to do this. Does everybody have something like that? Did you guys grab onto that goal, that passion to go, I'm doing this and this is why I'm doing it?
Yeah, these guys have a solid reason, and I make them, when they come into the group, Mike, kind of share with everybody why they're doing it and commit themselves, because I'm big on you're only committed to what you confess. But I think it's important that you share with these guys? Because there were some questions at the beginning when we started fasting about losing muscle, right? So
Yeah.
you heard Mike, he fasts 2 times a week. And when I did Mike's plan, his 30-day blitz, he had me fasting twice a week, and it was hard, but I didn't lose any size. And you're looking at a nearly 300-pound man at 6'3", nothing but muscle on his body. Do you lose muscle when you fast?
Let's do this. Let's go the negative on this. Let's say you lose a little bit of muscle. Hopefully you guys all understand memory muscle. Memory muscle is basically muscle that's on your body, and you have to burn that sucker off. And when you do, you feel like you've lost it. You worked out so hard to gain that muscle. Now I just kind of lost 5 pounds of that muscle, but I lost 15 to 20 pounds of fat. Now, my philosophy here is this. I can put the muscle back on and it comes back on. And the reason why it's called memory muscle is because it instantly comes back on when you start eating calories again. It comes right back. Now, that's the worst scenario. So let's say you lose some. Okay, but you're getting rid of the fat, which is the most important thing right now. I don't want you guys going and focusing on 5 different things. Right now, I want you guys to have those abs. I want you guys to have that weight off your body. I want, if you're on heart medicine, to be off of that. If you're a first-stage diabetic, to get off of that medicine. I want you healthy, because Clark can turn you guys right back around when you're all set and put the memory muscle back on in a couple of weeks. It's as easy as that. Now, that's the worst scenario. The great scenario is that you're taking enough protein and you're putting in branched chains or glutamine or anything like that to retain the muscle. And like Clark said, he retained his muscle. I retained my muscle. And when we were doing the testing on this with even my wife, she was taking as much protein I was taking, and she didn't even lose anything. So the point is, you don't lose a lot of muscle from doing this. You're doing this for such a short period of time. Obviously, if you do weeks and weeks and weeks of this, but what Clark's done is set you up on a plan where I call it the ladder method, where you rise up to the very top going 100%, and then you come back down to 70% training. And that's kind of how his principles and my principles are. We're not always at 100%. So the main thing here is this. Will you get the muscle back if you lose some? Yes. Do you lose muscle while you're doing this or fasting? Again, if you're taking in the right amount of protein, you won't lose much. But I think more than anything, and the most important thing that I've found out through life, is it's more important to get that body in shape to where it looks good for you mentally and emotionally. And then you can put the muscle right back on, or any creation after that point. Okay, does everybody understand that? Everybody gets the idea?
So, yeah, someone was asking, they wanted you to talk about glutamine. So,
glutamine.
Yeah, Neil said he understands about branched chains, but can you speak to glutamine?
Well, glutamine is just another recovery amino acid that helps you retain the glycogen and the muscle fullness in the body. So it's just a great product as well. I'm one of these guys that there's basic vitamins, just like basic movements in the gym. I'm a very basic guy, and I believe in the principles of, if you stay basic and you stay with the principles of the thing, you can continue to maintain that foundation that you build. So glutamine, EAAs, and branched chain would be the drink that I would do throughout the day. Instead of my 2 gallons of water, just water, I would have those stuff in the water, and that will keep my energy up. It will keep my muscles full, and it'll also retain that muscle. Does that sound good, guys? We can go over that more too. I'm saying Clark, should have all those things down there from Whitney Reed over BPI, but it's anything you can pick up. And the great thing about those vitamins, very inexpensive. Glutamine's like $9 or something like that. So it's one of those things that I believe in. Relative to the high-end, fancy stuff, I stay with the basic stuff for me. And Clark can tell you that. I'm a basic, really simple human.
Yeah, Mike wakes up, trains, goes, takes a nap, trains, eats, all in between it all, and then rinses and repeats. So let me see. I
saw a question here that says branched chain amino acids and glutamine over like a protein shake. That's two different worlds. Two different worlds. Protein is a meal. It is a substance for your muscles. Branched chain is something to think of as recovery and help for the body to heal. So I think of those as completely opposite things. Another question here was about creatine. You're at the phase right now where I think most of you are slicing and dicing. Yeah, Clark? Yeah,
they're dialing in, getting leaner for sure. Aaron's younger. Aaron's the youngest guy in the group, and he overtrains. And Sergio's shaking his head. Sergio's just over. Yeah, So he could. Aaron goes all in. So
creatine's a great thing. It's a strength builder. It sucks that water into the muscles and keeps you full. I like it. Again, if you're slicing and dicing right now, I would say save the money and wait until you put that muscle back on or fill out after this program is over relative to doing that right now. I would say stay focused on more of the fat burners, the caffeine, and the recovery, if that makes sense to you guys. Again, I can answer any questions about anything like this. And I think Clark and I both agree on the aspect that regardless of how well you train, and I know that some of us overtrain. I know that I'm an overtrainer. I love training, and I think Clark and I would have been much better bodybuilders in our 20s if we could have trained at 70% relative to trying to overtrain every single workout. But there is an addiction to it. So one thing I would recommend is when you are training, don't crawl out of the gym. As hard as that is for us being guys, don't train to the point where you're crawling out of the gym. And Clark is a great example of this, because if you go train with Clark, I'm throwing up halfway through the workout and I'm crawling out of the gym just to get away from him. So there's a limit to what I want you to train and go to. Obviously, we're guys, and so we like to have fun and we like to tussle. And those are the great workouts to get in there and get going. But at the same time, try to be smart enough to where you don't feel like you have to be the animal every day. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, so everyone's pretty much in the same position here, Mike, with regards to just, you speak about this a lot, longevity. You know, we're in our 50s. We're really concerned with being the healthiest version. I loved what you said about not being on heart medicine, or if you're a stage 1 diabetic, because different people are running into different situations in life, man. So talk about the longevity. You've been able to train forever, super hard, harder than pretty much anyone I know, without getting injured. You know, you talked about sleep and all of that. So just speak to the sticking with this for the rest of your life mentality.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I discovered early is I know that we all want that muscle, but it's the internal stuff, like the connective tissue, us old man strength, that connective tissue and the bone density. These things are not something we think about when we're in our 20s, but it's the main thing that keeps us training for a lifetime. Because you're not going to stop training because you pull a muscle. You're going to stop training because of arthritis. You're going to stop training because of the joints and the cartilage is ran down to the bone. That's what stops us. So one of the main things I would like everybody to do is to continue to work with Clark. But when you have issues with shoulders and knees and lower back, don't stop. Stopping is not what we do. Motion and continuous range of motion is the greatest thing that we can possibly do at all times. If you get an injury, talk to Clark and say, hey, I messed up my shoulder. Clark's going to give you 100 different things to do to work around that injury, and so you can keep moving. The one great thing is the silly stuff is really the primal stuff to keep us going. Range of motion, odd angles. I've seen Clark in very odd angles because of the style and the way he trains. That is the greatest thing in the world. That is what we want to do. We want to put our bodies in those positions to where it's uncomfortable, so our body gets used to it and keeps building that connective tissue. And don't ever lose the idea that regardless of your age, you're still not an athlete. You're still not that guy that can get out and play basketball and get out there and go for a run and go out and play with the kids. That's what's going to keep you moving and grooving more than trying to go in there and train like a 20-year-old in the gym and just lift heavy weights on squats and deadlift. That's so irrelevant to this. That is short term compared to the full range of shoulders, the full range of your knees and the lower back. Those are the key points for us to stay with. Joint support, any kind of joint support that you guys would like, make sure to talk to Clark about that. That is something you should be doing. Some fish oils, ointments, creams, anything like that to keep the body loose and warm are the greatest things in the world. More than the creatine, more than getting strong. That stuff is more important, which is odd. I'm an American Gladiator, and so you would think I only care about the strength and knocking heads. And I care about the range of motion and the connective tissue. And you guys understand what connective tissue, the ligaments and the joints and the tendons and the cartilage, that's the stuff that we really need to keep feeding. And that also goes into how we diet and what we eat. There's nutrients that feeds that relative to just worrying about feeding the muscle again.
Mike, I want to open it up for questions with these guys. So I would encourage you guys to ask any questions that you have right now while we got Mike on here. So go ahead. I know Sergio's got something.
Yeah, Clark, thanks. Mike, thanks for being here. Just like Clark, I watched you for a million years and appreciate what you've done. But yeah, you know, Mike, my question, and I'm very grateful for what you've said so far, but I think you have to stress it even more, because my concern and a lot of my comments in the group, because I have trained with some heavy duty bodybuilders very early in my life, and I've trained my whole life. I wish I could look like you and Clark, but the reality is what I see. My concern is that men that have not been training their entire lives, jumping in, and if they see a Mike O'Hearn routine today, they're going to start doing the Mike O'Hearn routine. Or they see Clark doing 10 sets of 10 squats, and the next thing I know is somebody saying, hey, I did that workout. You're not there yet. So I think if you could give them some guidance, and all of us guidance about, yeah, we got to go, but we've got to recognize to rein it in, to rein it in and keep it at idle, and recognize. One of the speakers talked about getting 1% better every day. And my belief is that guys are trying, you know, hey, 1% means if you're doing 100 pounds today, you're doing 101 tomorrow, and build from there. No, they're going 100 to 150. So if you could, again, really reinforce it, I think for everybody it's going to be a very strong message.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I agree with you, it's an amazing thing. And everybody knows New Year's is coming. And I don't know if you guys all notice this, but I've been in the gym for 40 years, so I've definitely noticed this. And I noticed come January 1st, you get a sheesh load of people come in the gym, and they jump on that treadmill, and they start running at 7 miles an hour. And it's amazing to me. The whole principle of training is the fact that if you haven't done anything, your next step is walking. Your next step is walking a little faster after that. It is really simple and really basic. And it's one of these things where it's an ego check. I don't believe in going in when you haven't trained for a year, January 1st, and jump on the treadmill and start running. You just went ground 0 to 100. That makes no sense. And it really doesn't make sense because you got to figure out the body. The body is only going to change if you can give it something new. Do you guys understand that? It adapts to everything. Your body is actually a miracle kind of creation that it will protect itself. If you starve it, it will purposely slow down the metabolism to where it doesn't eat up all your muscle. It's a beautiful thing. But it works also against us in the sense of, hey, we want to get rid of this fat. Well, fat is healthy somewhat to the body. Fat around the organs and all this stuff actually keeps the body healthy. So your body's not going to release it just to release it. You have to actually trick it and make it trust you. And so when we're talking about the Michael HEARN workout or going to train with, which I will not do. I will not train with Clark. He's a freak.
Shut up.
But the point is, it's the baby step that gets you in shape. It is if you go into the gym and haven't done anything, just do 1 set. Come back later and do 2 sets later on when your body adapts to 1 set. Come back later and do 3 sets. And down the road, you're 6 weeks down the road and you're finally doing the 4 sets. There's nothing wrong with that. On top of that is that your body now keeps getting better and better and better. So you progressed over 6 weeks compared to the person that came into the gym, started out at 4 sets, and within 2 weeks his body adapted to it. And it went from ground zero to 100, and now he's stationary the next 4 weeks where you keep getting better. Your body needs to understand that it's always going to change and always going to get a little harder, a little bit better. So don't go in there. And one of the questions over here to the side, it basically says, can I go in there and train to fail every single workout? Absolutely not. I rarely, during the year, train to failure. I usually train at 70%. And there's a couple times when somebody will come in and train with us that we might go to 100%, but I barely go to about maybe 4 times a year is when I train to that level. Surprisingly, and most of the elite athletes don't go to that level. They usually train around 70 to 80%. Enough to stimulate the body, not annihilate it. And that was from one of our idols, mine and Clark, Lee Haney said, get into the gym, tear the fibers of the muscle. That allows you to use calories and recover and then get better.
Yeah, back to the whole concept of consistency or intensity, which is more important, right?
Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency beats intensity. Intensity, you can go into the gym and you can give it as best you can, but you're only going to get 2 or 3 workouts in a week at that level. And the other ones are going to suffer because you went such an extreme. I would rather the guy that goes into the gym and trains at 75% every day, 6 days.
So guys, what is my number? So I tell these guys, every day I ask them to check in. I need an overall check-in, nutrition, mindset, all of that. And as long as they're at a 7, I'm happy, right? I don't expect people to constantly be at a 10. That's hard because you're redlining. I appreciate the thought like I'm at a 10. That I get the mentality behind that, but as long as everybody's at a 7 on their nutrition, their mindset, everything that I've asked them to do, I know that that is sustainable because that's what this is about. You have a career that has been built on sustainability. You've maintained a look, you've maintained strength. It's unfortunate the guy who needed to hear that response left and went back to work, Aaron, the younger guy. But guys, anybody else have questions for Mike?
I do, Mike. I'm a huge fan. I've met you a long time ago. I think you were in the EAS stand in Columbus at the Arnold long time ago. And you were a monster then. Always appreciated watching you, man. I've seen you on every magazine, and I follow you with smelly workouts, all that stuff, Instagram. Anyways, I'm sorry. I don't mean to drag that out, but I appreciate that. But how about your training schedule as far as, like, how often are you changing it up? On, you know what I mean? Like throughout the year, I know you obviously set different goals for yourself. I mean, I've seen you rip to shreds right now. It looks like you're in a different phase of training now. Like, how often are you switching up and changing your goals throughout the year? Because again, I mean, this is your life and lifestyle. But like to other guys trying to manage, you know, like you said, feeling fatigued or feeling, you know, like you don't want to get there. How often are you switching it up to stay fresh?
Well, here's the great thing that I've learned over the years. To switch up is such a minute thing to where when I was a kid in my 20s, to switch up, it meant going from one extreme to another. If I've been squatting, I don't squat again. I just do leg presses. It's a complete different concept. And so in this sense, if I was training heavy, you got to train light and go lots of reps. But I learned in life that a change could be as simple as speed, as pausing, as loading on another 20 pounds. It's a very small amount of change to change up the body. So for my lifting, I rarely change the dramatic. I always keep in certain things like the squat and the deadlift and the bench because of the fact of what it does to the bone structure and to the healing of the body and the form of the body. So I keep those kind of things in there, and I always train as heavy as I can with the form that I'm using. So when he talks about changing up your workout, it could be as extreme as doing yoga one day and doing a bike ride the next day, or going to the gym one day and going out for a run the next day. It doesn't have to be that extreme. I've noticed the body changes on a very small amount. It comes into the nutrition that is the biggest part. The nutrition and how you diet is the biggest change on how to change the body. One thing that I recommend for everybody is to always keep a fast metabolism. And one thing that I recommend to everybody is, again, and I think Clark's going to talk to you guys about this as we diet, he's going to give you a certain amount of time to diet, and it's not going to be a year. It's going to be a good 12 weeks or so to where we go, all right, we're going hard for this 12 weeks. And then after that 12 weeks, we're going to feed the body again. And that's the big change that I've noticed through the years is the most important thing. When you continuously try to change throughout the year and diet hard, your body will shut down in time and your metabolism will slow in time, and you can just get ran down and beat yourself up. And that's what I don't want for anybody. And I think when it comes to, Clark will kind of say this too, he's seen me eat and I'm always eating. And it demands, if I'm slicing and dicing or I'm putting on size, I'm always eating every 2 to 3 hours, just like a baby, to continue to feed the body and make sure that the body is always feeding and the metabolism is always working at a high level. Because I think if everybody's here, I want everybody to understand this. To exercise every day for 2 hours and to be in a deficit every day for the next 10 years isn't longevity. Longevity is a healthy metabolism to where you can back down training to 4 days a week, where you only have to do cardio a couple days a week, where the metabolism is functioning so well that it utilizes the calories and heals the body. Does that make sense to you guys? Because I think most people think when they see a bodybuilder and they're ripped to the bone and they got all this muscle, they go, wow, that guy's in really great shape. And he's not. And Clark can explain this to you guys as well, is that he's working everything off. You guys understand that? This guy's doing 2 hours of cardio. He's training twice a day and he's not taking in that many calories. So he's functionally not in a good position. It's one of those crazy things that you may look beautiful and a great physique, but internally you're not healthy. All right.
I love that, Mike. That's huge. And that's where I'm getting these guys too. And that's what I always talked about, being instinctive. And during this phase, I was on the treadmill and I said, guys, listen, I am right now going to back off because I'm at a place in my training and how I look and how I know I want to feel that I don't need to go any harder. I'm not going to do 2 hours of cardio a day because I personally know what would happen. So that's where we're getting. I'm helping these guys get to the point where they're really in tune with their body and they're connecting to it. So the goal is going to be we get there and then we learn how to maintain that without having to do this all the time, you know? And that's the beauty of what I'm seeing happen in this group. I'm watching the posts. I'm seeing the comments. And the guys are now understanding this, where this is not like, oh, hey, I'm going to bust my ass for 6 weeks and then get fat again and look for somebody else down the road. This is like, you know, we're building an army right now of guys. And these are my evangelists and my warriors. They're going to help me get this to 1 million dudes, man, you know?
I love that. And the point here is, so when I say, and Clark says 7, his number is 7, mine's 70%. When I say that we're going to do that for a period of time and then we're going to back down, that's 100% what Clark's saying here. We need you to stay focused, but we only need you to stay focused for 12 weeks. After 12 weeks, we're going to maintain. We're going to bring the body down. We're going to train less. We'll do less cardio. and then we'll amp it up again. It's just like a football season. It's just like a basketball season. These guys don't train at 100% all year. It's a short period of time where you explode and then you back down. You let the body heal, and then you go back at it. And then it's like Clark did the my 30-day blitz. But before that is the setup. And unless he had the setup, the change wouldn't happen. And so that's what we're teaching you guys now, is everything he did prior to that, he was keeping his body at a level space. He was keeping the metabolism healthy. He was training moderate. And then he went hard for 30 days, and his body changed, and he got in better shape than when he was in 25. So that's what we're going to teach you guys to how to do, is where don't mentally sabotage yourself and think that you have to train as hard as you are right now for the next year. Because nobody can do that. I can't do that. So don't think of it that way. Think of it as a short period of time, and then we regroup, and then move forward again.
It's good stuff, guys. Who else has questions here?
How do you know that you've reached that stage where you can back down? How do you, is it the time period, or is it just a feeling that?
So you've probably maxed out on your cardiovascular, twice a day at whatever time you've been doing. You're probably at a deficit of the calories to where you can't go lower without being completely unhealthy. And so then you got to go, okay, I maxed out all my tricks. And that's why I don't like people to, even though I do it and you guys are doing it, fasting is something that should be applied when you're in a hardcore diet. Okay? So it's like what Clark and I were doing. We did it for that period of time. But off season, I don't fast, because it's one of those great tricks that you can use. I don't do cardio in the off season because I want to be able to use that for when I diet. I don't want to be in a deficit of calories because I want to use that when I'm dieting. So these are all the little tricks you use. And what Clark is doing right now is he's giving you all these tricks, and he's going to use up every trick there is in the book to get your weight going and moving and grooving. And when your body goes, we used everything, we've maxed out our time that I can healthy do cardio and training. At that stage, we stop, we pull you back off it slowly so you can at least maintain where you're at, which is a more impressive mental state than it is a physical state, to go, hey, I need to back down and keep the body where it's at. I got to a good place. Let the body heal, get off the cardio, get off the fasting, get off the deficit, and then let me start when Clark says, let's start again. That's how you kind of know. You kind of use up all the little tricks of the trade, and then you got to back it down again. Their body's going to tell you, and also the great thing about Clark is you got when I say expert, there's only a small few that are actually guys that can do this. I got more respect than him than most of the Mr. Olympia guys, because they could only do it for a moment, for a bleep, but could not maintain it. Where you got this guy that can maintain it, and that's more impressive to me than anything. So he's going to be the guy that you're going to continue to talk to, and he's going to say, all right, we maxed out. Now it's time for you to put some calories in, back down the cardio, and then we're going to start again in about 8 weeks.
You want to hear something cool about the gentleman that just asked that question, Mike? Obviously, he's from South Africa. He and I have had a relationship that dates back to before the internet. He hand wrote me a fan letter years ago, which I still have. And he's been around this whole time, man, and he's here doing it. So, Sherrod, let me mention that to you. After having watched and reading your posts and what's going on in your life right now, you're not there yet, right? You're kind of sidetracked with a lot going on in your life. So we got to get you back on track to where you're staying in that groove and you're maintaining a 7 for a consistent period of time. And then we'll know when to start backing away and backing off.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else?
Mike.
It's Chucky.
Chucky here. Yeah. I took Sergio's advice on overdoing it on the jogging, because I was probably jogging a little too much, and I backed down, and I saw that I still continued to lose weight. But when I do jog, I do tend to put on like a sweater or a double hoodie just to keep my body warm and keep myself sweating. And of course, I do hydrate now. How do you feel about wearing sweaters and stuff when working out outside in the heat? Is it necessary, or should I just simply go out there with a t-shirt and just let the jog do the work? I still jog. I just don't jog as much.
I am a cover-up guy. It doesn't matter if it's 90 degrees out or cold. I am a sweatshirt, sweatpants, 24/7. The only reason that anybody would ever see the physique is that I'm closer to stage and that I'm doing it for my social media. But I always dress and cover. A couple reasons why. I'm not so concerned about the sweat itself as I would like to keep the body in a little bit of more heated position because of the ligaments and keep those muscles all nice and warm as I train. That's one of the biggest reasons. The second reason is people get carried away when they're working out and they're visualizing or looking at the mirror at the muscle as it's flexing. And the muscle that's flexing should be actually in your mind. You don't see your hamstrings, you don't see your glutes, you don't see your back when you train. And so when you're training, you've got to visually see that and feel the contraction. And so I love to cover up and know that I'm contracting the muscles when I'm doing it. And when it's coming into jogging, I agree that keeping covered up and just kind of keeping that body going. And the sweat always, you know, feels good to everybody. Like, oh, I worked out really hard. I'm sweating like a dog. But I love that you said something in there that I don't know if anybody picked up. Hydrating. The number one thing for the body to keep the metabolism working isn't food. It's not even exercise. What Clark's doing. Water. Water is the number one thing to keep your metabolism working at a high level. And I know that's such a simple, so minute thing, but it's one of the greatest things there is. So when you slow down on the water, your body slows down. Keep flushing the water.
That's good stuff. Anybody else got questions before we let Mike get back to his life?
Yeah, I've got a question. Hi, Mike. You touched on earlier, especially at our age, the ligaments and connective tissues. And I started walking when we were doing the cardio, and as we built up, walking twice a day, I felt it in my knees, and like when I'm doing squats and leg day and stuff, it's not a bad issue, but I'm feeling it in my knees, and I'm a bit worried, you know, that you know, it's going to get worse. So what I'm reading on the internet is basic leg muscles, thighs, and your hamstrings and stuff. Is that right? Is that how to protect your knees?
So it's the balance of the two. People think that if the knee's bad, then something around the bone, and it could be your hamstring is weak. So it's the balance between the front and the back is one of the main things. Second thing is form is such a huge thing. People, when they squat with the knees. And if you've done any sport, a sport is done with your hips. And it doesn't matter what sport it is, it's the hip motion that is what turns an athlete into a good athlete. And that comes into the glute hamstring area. So one thing I would do is when you squat, I would send videos. And this is for everybody. When you do exercises, check in with Clark. And what I have my people do is send over a video. Hey, let me see how you squat. Let me see how you're holding yourself up. The bone structure is a beautiful thing. And if it's packed in a correct line, it supports itself. There's actually things in your body that are like weight bearing in your knees and so on and so forth. So you can take a load of weight. And so I would just make sure that your forms are mostly at this age really on point. And I know it sounds silly. Well, it's a squat. You just go in and squat. You don't. A squat is a beautiful thing where the knee doesn't move that much, where it's actually the hip motion, and that's what gets the whole body firing. So it's a huge form change relative. I've been doing this for 40 years, and some of the exercises that I've seen sports specific destroy their bodies. where power lifters who lift in a mechanically correct way, you get 70-year-olds, you get 80-year-old women that are still training because of the way they train. Compared to bodybuilding, bodybuilders, believe it or not, train in some of the worst, most horrific form there is. So when society sees more bodybuilders train, they go, this must be right. It's actually not. And so I'd go back to an athlete like Clark and say, hey, is this squat correct? And he'll tell you what's going on. Is doing the shoulder press correctly here? Those are the little things. Now, one thing that does happen regardless of who we are is the cartilage. We only have so much time with our cartilage, and some things kind of deteriorate. Movement is the greatest thing, but when it comes to the knees and stuff like that, let's get as much blood, because blood is what heals. And there's certain parts of the body that does not get a lot of blood, believe it or not. The lower back does not get a lot of blood. The knees don't get a lot of blood. So these are the kind of things that we still want to try to force the blood into and make sure that we train. One of the greatest things that we can do is train legs. I don't care if you're genetically gifted with legs, but to train legs keeps the whole body healthy. So going back to the knees, make sure that your form is correct, and then make sure that you're taking joint support, fish oils, and eating a healthy meal plan that's kind of recovering from the ligaments. Okay, guys?
Getting some knowledge bombs dropped on us here. So this is all going to be posted into the group page. I'll save this, and we're going to let Mike go. And one last question. Go ahead,
well,
Mike.
Before that, I got some great ones here I love. One of the questions is, should you eat every 3 hours? For me, I believe so. I believe the reason why is because you don't want to get to the phase of where you are hungry. Does anybody know what that hunger actually is? The hunger is actually your body eating the muscle. That's what's happened. And now if you eat at that point, you may be mentally okay, but you're already caused the damage. And that's why I love the idea of continuously being like a baby. Continuously eating doesn't mean a big meal. Absolutely not. It means whatever the plan is that Clark has you on or is helping you with, get those little meals in every 3 hours. That's the greatest thing. All right. And now on the days that you fast, it is what it is. You set yourself up great. And this is what I don't want anybody to do. I don't recommend anybody to fast that hasn't dieted Monday through Friday correctly. And then you get to your Saturday and you go, well, I ate pizza all week and today I'm going to fast, so I'm okay. It doesn't work that way. Monday through Friday is the setup. Saturday's the benefit. So if you were staying on Clark's plan and you guys are doing correctly Monday through Friday, Saturday is such a heightened aspect of it because then it goes right to the fat. Your body trusts you. If your body does not trust you, and that's all we're trying to get it to do, if it doesn't trust you, then Saturday's a waste. Okay?
That's huge. I love that right there because that is the key. And you will maintain your strength. That's part of what he's saying. When Monday through Friday is right, you're feeding your body the nutrients that you're getting with the right food and the water and all of these things. Saturday comes along and I'm saying, okay, don't eat, just drink these greens. You're still getting nutrients into your body. And really why I asked them to do this more than anything, Mike, is for discipline. I want people to understand that, yes, in fact, you can go a day with no food. It's not as hard as we've made it out in life. We've been conditioned a certain way. So as much as it's for weight loss and all of that, more than anything else, for me, the reason I'm doing this, and these guys understand it, is for discipline.
It's such a huge point. I don't want to leave just yet because I want to say something. If there's anything here that seems like odd or something like that, trust me, my young 20-year-old self would hate me right now. What do you mean you don't eat for a day? What do you mean you don't train at 100%? What do you mean that you don't do this? I want to be a beast. I need to train at 100%. I'm not going to fast. I'm not going to do this. The reason why at this stage I can do that is because I've tested all this stuff like Clark. We test it on ourselves and make sure that it's beneficial. And the main thing that's beneficial here is what he's saying. The discipline, that setup that you guys are doing mentally, when you come back to Sunday going, holy cow, I just fasted all day. I still feel strong. I'm going to keep forward. man, that's a huge, huge process. And it's such a it's bigger than anything else. I love nutrition. I love recovery. I love training. Mental strength beats all of it.
Mic drop right there. Mic drop. That's legit, man. There you go. That's a big ass mic from a big ass mic. Here we go. Is Titan around anywhere? Mona around anywhere? Show the backbone or what?
Is that Mo right there? I'll see. You want to ask? Do a little ask? Give us 1 minute here. We got a little meta-human here. Like Clark was saying at the very beginning of this, I guess it was it a year and a half? Did we wait until Clark he was born, or after the fact that I said, "Will you be the Godfather"?
Oh, it was before. You called me up and he said, "What's a Godfather do?" He's like, he wanted to test my knowledge of whether or not, if need be, I would step in. And absolutely, man, this little guy is a precious. And the beautiful thing about the way Titan is being raised, he's around so many strong, not physically strong people. That's one part of it, but strong people that have like so much wisdom to impart. And there's so many amazing humans coming through that home and imparting into this young man. I mean, it's really neat to see, man. And I thank
you for, thanks for having me on here. And thanks guys for hanging in here and talking today. I appreciate that. But I do want to say one thing about this guy here is that you guys got a great person. I always say, man, I wish I was 20. And if Arnold Schwarzenegger offered his advice or training, I would be on that Zoom call with him, back in the 80s and stuff. And what you guys have is somebody at that level. You got somebody like Arnold here for you guys to talk to, which is a huge thing. And it's for me being able to say that that's my friend, but somebody that's there for you guys. This guy knows everything there is to know to get you to your goal. There's no doctor out there. There's nobody that studied this more than he did. So you got a great person here in Clark to bounce all those ideas off of. And if I could say anything, the number one thing here is that support and the mental state of doing this day in and day out beats everything else. And I saw this over here, and I think it was the young kid that said, I want to train at 100%. That's completely missing the whole point of why I came on here and stuff. This is a mental battle. And if you follow the progress and you stay on the plan, you'll get there. If you just go into the gym and do mindless beast kid 100%, that's not going to get you to your goal.
Man, brother, I love you. I appreciate you so much.
Love, brother.
I will see you tomorrow. We're heading up in the morning, so I will actually be at Mike's house tomorrow. He asked me today, are you going to be with me on the Zoom call? You're going to do it from home. I'm like, nope, I got to be here because I got my man Wayne showing up to train right now.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Clark.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Clark. All right, so we are now heading into another week. Does anyone have any questions about your plan? What is going on? Is everybody good? Or is there anyone new in here that has not done, their first week yet? Look at Wayne.
Clark?
We all good?
Clark?
All right, okay. So stay in the group, stay active in the group. Everything is on the page. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. Let's keep this train rolling and, invite your friends to come in. If you ordered Nanotest, I will be shipping hopefully on Wednesday. I have my labels. They're coming in from Israel. I ordered these labels from Israel. So I just got the tracking. They'll be at the place on Tuesday by 9 p.m. So that means I can go down Wednesday, start putting stuff in the cans, putting the labels on in the boxes. We'll start shipping on Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. So thank you for your patience in waiting for that. I promise you're going to love it, right? You love Nanotest? Come here and tell these guys real quick. Come on, get over here, man. He loves it. He won't tell you why he loves it, but he absolutely loves the product, man. So, guys, again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, man. And I just want to thank all of you who are so active in the page, man. Jim Boyd is in there just, you know, giving you all the exercises. And, you know, I love that. I love the team aspect of this. And I love the fact that guys have taken ownership of this group in so many different ways, from looking at guys and making sure that they're not hurting themselves and stepping in with your knowledge, because I'm not sitting here acting like I'm the only one that understands how to do this. We have some great people in this page that I'm so appreciative of. And here's what I told you guys from the beginning. You, as new guys come into this, are going to be that inspiration, that coach, that person that can help guide them. You don't need to have all of the knowledge in the world as it relates to health and fitness. But what you've learned with your own experience up to this point is going to be something that you could lend to someone else as they come in, because you came in at a certain place and now you're at a different place. So your experience and your process is going to be what I ask you to pour into that next guy, because there's millions of them out there waiting. And I'm constantly going on my different social media platforms and saying, hey, come and join this group. So when you see a new guy come in and he's doing his video and he's nervous and he's intimidated or whatever, I value so much you guys coming in and saying, hey, welcome to the group. I don't know if you understand how much that really helps somebody feel more comfortable. And all I would ask you to do is reflect back on when you did that and how you felt and what your mindset was like when you saw this opportunity. You saw me on TikTok, or you knew me from Instagram or whatever, and I made this available. Think about what you thought. Think about how you came into this and what your reservations were, what your fears were, and speak to that next guy with that authority of, you're going to be fine. This is okay. Trust the process. We're here for you, because that is what community is about. And as I share this with different people, they say, what's the single most important thing about what you do? And I'm like, it's my community. It's the community that we've built, and it's our community. It's us collectively together. And I need you so much to help me do this, because again, my goal is really, honestly, I talk to my team, I want to get this group to 10,000 guys. You know, we're coming into January. Guys are going to be joining this. So I'm going to need, you know, your support, you know, in creating this team. And that's kind of what we're coming up with nomenclature, and it's creating itself. So the app is going to be referred to as the playbook. And with the playbook, you have your plays, and we're designing it in such a way it's kind of going around football. So you guys are the first team, man. You know, you're the varsity. You guys are the ones that have been here, and as the freshmen and as the JV guys come in, I want you guys to take ownership. You know, you're a fifth-year senior out of college, man, and you can walk into a room. Maybe you walked on 5 years ago, but now you're the authority in the locker room. So that's the energy I want to bring, man. So again, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go train Wayne right now. I love you. I appreciate you, and let's keep this going, man. Step it up.